Does your DualSense controller have stick drift or dead zone issues or even limited sensitivity? Well, luckily, thanks to the hard work of a fellow who goes by the Owl, and no thanks to Sony for not even keeping DualSense Edge sticks in stock and also charging $20 for them, and also just ignoring this issue on their basic controllers for 2 generations, you can now use this online tool to recalibrate your DualSense or Dualshock 4 controllers. Woo! The website is pretty straightforward to use, but there's no guarantees it'll work. However, it's definitely worth a shot if you have any issues with your controllers, and it's absolutely better than no option other than buying a new controller outright. I ended up using this tool because of a strange issue I found that no one else online seemed to have. One of my controllers was giving a very limited range reading on the top left direction and a very high range reading on the opposite bottom left direction. So I actually think it might be something with the hardware itself in this controller, which is either slightly crooked or angled in some way. Maybe it was just soldered into the board a little bit off, or the stem connecting the analog stick itself is just ever so slightly crooked. Anyway, I'm not technical enough to investigate this at a hardware level, but I wanted to see if there was any possible fixes out there. I actually asked Marius Heyer on Twitter, who you might know from the USB-C mods that he makes for DualShock 4 controllers, if there were any fixes for this undershooting stick, and he pointed me to this tool, which I was not aware of, but was definitely super stoked to try out. I never noticed this issue until I first tried Stardew Valley the other day, and the game happens to have a running dead zone that lined up pretty much just perfectly past the range of this problematic analog stick. So I couldn't sprint towards the top left direction of the screen. So let me show you the process of putting this controller through the paces and how I managed to get it working with this piece of software. All right, so I got the gamepad tester on the left so you can see my analog inputs, and then I have the calibration tool on the right. So first we're gonna do a stick centered calibration. So this will just reestablish the 0 point for these analog sticks. I don't really have any problems with this, but I thought I'd just run it through all of these tests just to make sure it's in tip-top shape. And then when I do this circularity test after that, you can see that the top left direction really does not reach very far, especially it doesn't even go outside of the circle. I can't even get the negative values to go past 0.7, which I think is probably where the dead zone is for Stardew Valley. And then of course on the left stick, you can see that going down to the right on the left stick also goes really far. Whereas the right stick is generally more even across the board. It definitely goes outside of the circle in each diagonal direction. And then just as another point of reference, here's my other DualSense controller, which is a lot more even on both sticks. You can see the range goes well outside of the circle in every direction on every stick. So let's try this calibrate stick range. So you just move each stick in a circle a couple times to just demonstrate the full range, and then you hit done. And then, believe it or not, that actually made my left stick worse. Even the top right doesn't really get outside of the circle now. And I forgot to screen capture this, but it actually wouldn't sprint in the top right direction when I tried this in Stardew Valley right after this as well. So this is why I think it's actually a hardware reason why my stick is not getting that full range. But luckily, I think I can manipulate this calibration tool and I can fix the range on those sticks. So I'm just gonna run this stick range calibration again, but I'm gonna undershoot my axes, especially towards the top and the left. In particular, I'm gonna push it to about 0.99 or as close to 0.99 as it can get in those particular directions, as you can see here. And it doesn't appear to me, I tested this a few times and it doesn't appear to me like the diagonal directions don't actually matter. It's just about hitting the direct left, right, up, down, X and Y axes. So by undercutting these, I can make the controller output a higher range when it hits the top left and top right dimensions on the controller. It'll tell the system that it's further than it actually is. So it should fix this problem for me, and it will probably sacrifice some precision or whatever accuracy. And then when it really comes down to it, games that are very precise often have their own dead zone and sensitivity settings, so it should be all right. The main thing I'm trying to do is fix this sprint issue in Stardew Valley. But anyways, here's the final test. You can actually see that now I'm getting well outside of the circle in the top left and top right directions on this stick, so I'd say that's fixed. And then here it is in Stardew Valley again, working. And if you're having any other issues such as stick drift or wonky dead zones, or you soldered on new sticks into your controller, I would 100% recommend running your controller through this tool to make sure it's running as well as it possibly can. Thanks for watching this video. If you made it this far, like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and let me know if you knew about this tool and if it managed to help you fix or improve your controller experience for PS4 or PS5.